2015, the year Max Scherzer broke baseball.
You put these last two games together, you're talking about historical type pitching.
But how exactly? He didn't win any of his 3 Cy Young Awards that year, nor was it his absolute best year statistically. Instead, I'd argue 2015 was the year Scherzer showcased his absolute peak, not in terms of a full season, but through the lens of 3 specific starts. However, even before Scherzer threw a single pitch in 2015, he had already made history. On January 18th, 2015, free agent Max Scherzer signed a massive 7-year, $210 million deal with the Washington Nationals team who had just won 96 games in 2014. Now, they were adding the 2013 American League Cy Young to arguably the league's best starting rotation. Between 2012 and 2014, only 3 pitchers produced a 1.25 ERA+, while accumulating both 15 B-WAR and F-WAR. Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw, and Felix Hernandez. As a result, the Nationals entered the 2015 season with the league's highest World Series odds according to Fangraphs. A slow start kept them under 500 for the first 30 games, but they found their form not long after, thanks to 2 guys who were named the National League Players of the Month in their respective roles in May: Max Scherzer and Bryce Harper, both in the midst of career best starts to a regular season. But the best was yet to come. June 14th, 2015. Scherzer and the Nationals are on the road looking to salvage a 4-game series against the rebuilding Milwaukee Brewers. Right away, Scherzer established his presence, striking out Carlos Gomez with a barrage of fastballs, only to toss a lethal slider to get him to chase. You're gonna notice this a lot. After getting his next 3 batters to ground out, he strikes out Gene Segura and Scooter Gennett by inducing 7 straight swings. Then, in the bottom of the 3rd, he strikes out Hector Gomez on 3 pitches. Of course, it was a fastball-slider combo. Then we get a quick minor league report on some prospect named Trey Turner. Then Scherzer strikes out Martin Maldonado with a perfectly placed 96 miles per hour fastball. Funny enough, it was the opposing pitcher, Taylor Youngman, who produced the only batted ball of the inning. To his credit, Youngman pitched a respectable outing. 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 earned runs. However, in more ways than one, Scherzer had to one-up his competition by hitting a single in the top of the 4th. In doing so, he had done something the entire Brewers lineup hadn't to this point: hit a ball in the air to the outfield. A direct contrast to Scherzer's tendencies throughout the 2015 season. In addition to a top 5 fly ball rate, he induced the 5th lowest rate of ground balls among qualified pitchers. However, Scherzer possessed a skill set that his peers didn't: electric strikeout stuff. Back to the bottom of the 4th, after inducing 2 infield pop flies, Scherzer diced up Ryan Braun with a nasty mix of fastballs and sliders. Just look at how these pitches play off each other. An example of pitch tunneling near impossible to decode. To this point in the season, and really for all of his career, Scherzer's main pitch was his 4-seam fastball, a pitch that works well with his slider and changeup. These were the pitches he relied on in his first 3.5 big league seasons, but he hadn't yet unlocked his hidden ace potential. Turns out, while he possessed the tools for success, he was missing one: the curveball. Between 2012 and 2014, with a new weapon in his arsenal, Scherzer refined his craft to transform into a bona fide ace. "The reason I'm pitching better is because I have a curveball," Scherzer said. "I have 3 pitches to throw at a left-handed hitter. That's the single reason why I'm pitching better." In contrast to his trusted 3-pitch arsenal versus right-handed batters, before the introduction of the curveball, Scherzer solely relied on his fastball and changeup against left-handed batters, resulting in some pretty drastic platoon splits. While the addition of the curveball didn't alter the severity of these splits, the numbers themselves were much more favorable. Curveball completely changes the approach. Now he's disrupted timing. Now he has to respect a 3rd pitch. And you can't cover all 3. You can't cover all 3 speeds. Now in the 5th inning, Scherzer begins an at-bat against left-hander Adam Lind with a curveball, follows it up with a fastball that's fouled off, throws a changeup in the dirt, and finally a changeup on the outside corner. That's 3 different speeds, a microcosm of Scherzer's elite ability to disrupt a batter's timing. Not just left-handers though, right-handers too. Slider, fastball, slider. An almost effortless strikeout. 1 inning later, he strikes out the side. 6 innings pitched, only 67 pitches, 11 strikeouts, and no base runners allowed. An incredible outing so far. Dare I say, perfect.
It's been some kind of day so far for Max Scherzer. 11 strikeouts, and here we go.
There's a pop behind second baseman. Don't try to get it. Can't get it. And that's the first base hit of the ball game for Milwaukee. After Max Scherzer retired the first 18 that he faced.
That's my bad. The perfect game bid was over thanks to a bloop hit just out of the reach of second baseman Anthony Rendon. However, Scherzer didn't leave this game empty-handed. Over the next 10 batters he faced, he allowed only 1 to reach base via walk, while adding 5 strikeouts to his tally. By the end of this 119-pitch complete game shutout, he had struck out a team record 16 batters. This incredible outing was arguably the best in Nationals history, but if only there was a way to obtain a definitive answer. Let's talk about game score. The goal of game score is to assign a singular number to a starting pitcher's outing to measure their overall performance in that start. This number is on a scale of 0 to 100, where 50 is average and most performances fall between 40 and 70. So, what was Scherzer's game score on June 14th, 2015? 100. He pitched a perfect game, at least in terms of sabermetrics, but an incredibly rare feat all the same. In MLB history, there's only been 29 100 game score outings, just 5 more than the traditional perfect game. However, there's a couple caveats to mention. It's important to note that game score isn't an exact science, as the formula does hold some flaws. As a pitcher's start is ongoing, their game score evolves. 1 point is added for each out recorded, 1 point for each strikeout, and 2 points removed for each hit, among some other guidelines. Because this formula rewards those who pitch as many innings as possible, many of these games occurred in eras where surpassing 9 innings wasn't uncommon. After all, if you pitch more innings, you have more opportunities to record outs. This is how Bob Gibson recorded a 100 game score in 1968, an outing where he allowed 6 hits and 1 earned run, but struck out 11 in 13 innings. So let's modify the leaderboard. How many of these 29 starts were confined to 9 or less innings? Only 9. Ranging from Warren Spahn in 1960 to Nolan Ryan's 2 outings in the 1970s to most recently Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander in the late 2010s. In short, Scherzer had pitched one of the most dominant games ever, a type of performance characterized by not only its dominance, but its rarity as well. Less than a week later, Scherzer did it again.
Yeah, how about their last 2 starts combined? 28 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 hits given up between the 2. So they're both coming off gems. This is going to be the pitching matchup of the day in the National League for sure.
June 20th, 2015. Scherzer takes the mound against the most talented Pittsburgh Pirates team since the days of Barry Bonds. So a bit better than the Brewers, and they showcased this talent right away. After a first pitch pop out, Starling Marte drove a ball to the warning track, something the Brewers couldn't accomplish at all. While this batted ball resulted in an out, it was clear Scherzer was facing a different caliber of lineup. In fact, he didn't record a strikeout until the 3rd inning. Thankfully, this poorly ranked defense was doing their jobs. Following this nice catch by Michael A. Taylor, Scherzer struck out opposing pitcher Francisco Liriano, who's still the largest free agent signing in Pirates history, to end the 3rd inning. Afterwards, he struck out the side in the 4th. Josh Harrison, Starling Marte, and Andrew McCutchen. Over his past 13 innings of work, Scherzer had struck out 21 batters, while walking only one the game prior. Scherzer had always held the elite ability to miss bats in the zone, as shown between 2012 and 2014, where he possessed the league's lowest opponent zone contact rate. In 2015, this rate lowered even more as he induced batters to swing more than ever, leading the league in first pitch strikes, swing rate, and zone swing rate, while also ranking second in swinging strikes. All in all, due to this combination of strikeouts and whiffs, Scherzer's command in 2015 was the sharpest of his whole career. In addition to a career-high strikeout-to-walk ratio of 8.12, he became only the third pitcher ever to produce a 30% strikeout rate while maintaining a walk rate below 4% over a full regular season, joining Pedro Martinez and Curt Schilling. This elite command not only creates more strikeouts and less walks, but also induces non-threatening batted balls, as shown in the 5th inning. Ground out, fly out, and ground out. Of course, because this is baseball, the possibility of a bloop hit on a well-placed pitch is always possible.
Pop fly, short center field. Danny Espinosa is there. 2 down.
But this time around, the baseball gods were on Scherzer's side, and with a strikeout to end the inning, he was in the same position as last game. 6 perfect innings, 3 more to go. Like last game, the 19th batter hits a ball in the air, but this time it goes straight into the glove of Michael A. Taylor. 8 outs to go. Uncharted territory with history on the line.
7 innings and absolutely nothing. You put these last 2 games together, you're talking about historical type pitching. Tough play out there. Espinosa scoops. He fires. Out at first. And Scherzer is untouched through 8. Did it hit him? And that's it for the perfect game.
I mean, did he make an effort to get out of the way? He leaned into it. That pitch wasn't that far in.
It's a call that they never make. And a ball hit deep to left. Taylor going back. Max Scherzer has a no-hitter.
When a no-hitter feels like a consolation prize, that's a sign you've just witnessed a historic performance. Well, in the case of Nationals fans, they had witnessed the most dominant set of back-to-back starts in MLB history. Between these 2 outings, Scherzer became only the 2nd player in league history to allow no more than 3 base runners in 18 or more innings in back-to-back starts. As a result, Scherzer is the only player in league history to produce a game score of at least 97 in consecutive starts. Even Johnny Vandermeer, the only MLB pitcher to toss consecutive no-hitters, failed to produce game scores on the level of Scherzer. The only real comparison to this otherworldly feat is the time when a 20-year-old Roki Sasaki pitched a perfect game, then pitched 8 perfect innings in his following start. What were the game scores of those outings? We'll get back to that. For now, just know that the only pitcher to showcase this type of strikeout-fueled dominance in MLB history is Max Scherzer. And with MVP Bryce Harper putting up an incredible season of his own, optimism surrounding this team was at an all-time high. Within 2 months, the Nationals' status as contenders had completely vanished. A brutal collapse coinciding with an uncharacteristically poor streak of games for Max Scherzer. Between his first 16 starts and his following 16 starts, despite maintaining similar rates of strikeouts and walks, he allowed a much larger rate of home runs, resulting in a higher ERA. While still an elite season on the surface, these numbers didn't fully encapsulate the absolute dominance showcased by Scherzer mid-season. However, there was still one more start to go.
He had a no-hitter through 7 1/3 last start against the Reds. You see the numbers right in front of you, 10 strikeouts, 3 walks.
Broken bat pop-up on the infield. Max Scherzer has done it again. He has thrown 2 no-hitters against 2 playoff teams.
Scherzer had thrown a no-hitter, with a 6th inning throwing error being the sole difference between a no-hitter and a perfect game. That's 3 perfect game bids lost in the same season, all in different ways. Nonetheless, Scherzer ended the 2015 season with one final feat for this fan base to celebrate, becoming only the 6th pitcher with 2 no-hitters in the same year. Of the 3 starts we looked at today, this 2015 farewell was the best, as it combined the strikeout prowess of Game 1 and the no-hits or walks allowed in Game 2, resulting in an incredible 17 strikeout performance with no hits or walks. The first and only outing of its kind in MLB history. An absolute masterpiece. A performance so great that it broke the game score scale. A 104 game score on a scale that's supposed to be 0 to 100. Well, that's if you ignore extreme outliers. In fact, the 2 highest game scores in MLB history happened in 1920, when Joe Eschker and Leon Cador faced off in a 26-inning thriller that ended in a tie. Their respective game scores were 153 and 140. However, once we implement the aforementioned 9-inning rule, the list of outliers narrows to only 7 names. Scherzer sits in 2nd place behind only Kerry Wood's legendary 20 strikeout performance in 1998. As a result, among starts restricted to only 9 innings, Scherzer is the only player in MLB history to produce 3 95+ and 2 100+ game scores in the same season. Again, the only real comparison is Roki Sasaki, who in his back-to-back perfect outings produced game scores of 106 and 98 respectively. So in the end, it's Scherzer who stands alone with 2 game scores over 100.
Swing and a miss! 20 strikeouts for Max Scherzer.
On May 11th, 2016, Scherzer performed his encore, a 20 strikeout game, tying the MLB record. Ironically, it's the league's worst 20 strikeout game according to game score, but nonetheless, it was a statement made to his former team. In 2014, Scherzer declined a 6-year, $144 million extension from the Detroit Tigers. The $210 million deal he signed a year later was scrutinized around the baseball world. Notably, this criticism surrounded the annual $15 million deferral payments to be paid by the Nationals between 2022 and 2028. Knowing what we know now a decade later, this contract was a bargain. Incredible numbers and countless memories provided to the Nationals fan base by this future Hall of Famer. None more important than his Game 7 contributions in the 2019 World Series, proving even a 44 game score start can mean so much. After all, as they say, flags fly forever. as do extraordinary performances. And it just so happens Max Scherzer threw 4 of them in the span of a year.
And 20 punches, man.